And now on to the border of insanity. That is the focus of tonight's angle. The reaction to last night's show from Del Rio border sector was so overwhelming, we just couldn't let it go. Now, we brought you video you had not seen before. Along the Rio Grande River, the natural barrier between Mexico and the United States in this part of Texas. Well, we saw immigrants, illegal immigrants, jumping into the river from the Mexico side with full knowledge that nearby Border Patrol would jump in and rescue them.
They're getting ready to cross.
So what will you do here?
The father and a child.
Flotation device.
No.
So he's in the water without the baby's got the device on.
Right.
I'll get over here. This is terrifying. I mean, you have a man separated. Now you have a man separated from his baby here. The baby's crying on the other boat, and Border Patrol is left to have to fish him out of the river.
We don't want to become a ferry service.
Right.
We know that it's a daily struggle that these guys have, but you know you can't leave an infant in the water
right.
struggling. You can't leave small children living in the water.
It was terrifying, but a ferry service is exactly what the Border Patrol has become. Now, the illegals may be indigent, and they only come with what they can fit in a little grocery bag, but they're extremely well informed of our loopholes and our absurd enforcement restrictions. And now they're taking advantage of all of those loopholes with the help of the cartels who, get this, are paid handsomely by the illegals to help transport them across Mexico and right into the hands of our Border Patrol. Now, here you see people cheering on the shoreline after this man is pulled onto the boat.
Who is that? ¿Quién es?
¿Quién es? ¿Quién es eso?
¿Quién es?
Son amigos.
Your
Sus
friend.
amigos.
Sí, amigos.
Now, I spoke with some of these migrants, and they come, as I said, with little to nothing, and along with their children, who are innocent pawns in all of this. And the sadness and the fear in their eyes, I will not forget. But everyone I spoke to, everyone, already has a place in the United States to go.
Dirección de la amiga.
En el teléfono lo traía todo, pero el teléfono me cayó, pero en mi Messenger, por Facebook tengo todo, si me permiten.
But not just to Maryland.
¿Dónde ellos?
Miami.
We have.
¿Tienes amigos en los Estados Unidos?
Tengo una amiga cerca de Washington.
Oh, Washington, D.C. Oh, okay. Well, I told that particular migrant that was I was from. We had a little moment of levity. But politicians have been downplaying this for political reasons. We all know that. They're lying to you. This is a national problem. It's not just a border state problem. One of the more illuminating moments from yesterday was in the Border Patrol Processing Center. Now, they didn't let us bring cameras into the area where they're actually processing the illegal immigrants for privacy and other concerns, but they're taken to this processing center after they're picked up in the Rio Grande. Now, inside, they're separated into categories: family units, single adult males, and unaccompanied minors. Now, the families that I spoke with told me that they had paid the cartels up to $12,000 for passage. But guess what? The money, in most cases, came from relatives or friends already in the U.S. And it gets better. Most of them are illegals, too. You heard that right. Our system is so screwed up that it permits illegals living here now to finance the trips of other illegals who want to come join them. Oh, and it gets worse.
We have folks who will come in and literally within 45 minutes, they're in a delivery room, and that was just a week ago.
Wait a second, they're delivering children?
They're delivering children. We will apprehend them. They'll be 8.5, 9 months pregnant, and they'll be in labor when we make that arrest. By the time we get to the emergency room, they're delivering within 30 to 45 minutes.
And guess who picks up the costs at the hospital? Well, we all do. Taxpayers here in the United States are subsidizing the enormous cost of health care for illegal immigrants, their children, and their births once here. Now, I found out today that in 2018 alone, Memorial Hermann Health System here in Texas, the largest health care provider in the Lone Star State, reported almost $500 million in losses due to unpaid medical bills. They basically had to write it all off. Well, of course, since, you know, they don't get paid and they're not authorized, by the way, to ask patients about their immigration status, ultimately the cost is eventually passed on to, well, you guessed it, Americans. So I ask you, how is any of this acceptable? We have U.S. vets who still can't get the timely treatment they need, yet illegal immigrants are allowed to use emergency rooms as their primary care centers free of charge. It's obscene and it's unfair. But you still don't think it's an emergency, right? Well, tonight we learned from our sources in the Rio Grande Valley sector that they are being completely overrun by unprecedented numbers of illegal aliens and asylum seekers. Over the past week, and this stunned me, 10,000 illegal aliens were apprehended by Border Patrol. Those are just the ones apprehended. And that made it one of the highest weekly totals ever seen in the history of the sector. New numbers for the month of April are coming out tomorrow. And sources are telling us that they could be the highest on record. My friends, this is a complete and total travesty. We spent trillions of dollars in Iraq and Afghanistan defending other people's borders, and we've allowed our own borders to just become meaningless. Any politician who says this isn't a crisis or refuses to be part of a real solution should retire or be retired. And that's the angle.